Is practice in the classroom better as a result of the work we're doing, and why do you think that is?
Maureen Andrews is head teacher of Piebank CE Primary School in Sheffield. She created a TA development team containing TAs from across the school to help drive the implementation of the report's recommendations. What were the first steps that you took as head teacher to facilitate that change?
Well, at the time when I began to look into this, I'd been at the school for probably about 6 months, and I could see we had some very skilled people in school. And I had a real, from discussions with someone who's an Ofsted inspector in schools, really clarified my thinking around if we were going to bring about change, we had to look at the deployment of teaching assistants and then the skills that those teaching assistants have and marry that up. So we were taking care of both. So we very quickly formed a development team. Again, deliberate choice of language rather than a change team. We called it a development team. And that development team involves teaching assistants, HLTAs, a teacher, and then some senior leaders. And they're the team who then, having heard my vision for what we wanted in school, we then created more of a shared vision for that. And that was about, actually, if we're doing it at our best, what will it look like? What are the possibilities? Because again, it's a lot of, well, we've always worked in a certain way with teaching assistants. So let's awaken the possibilities that actually we can look at this differently. And that allowed us to really draw together that living vision for that.
So they know that we are there all the time and they expect us to be there. But now we walk away and we come back. We're saying to them that we're not going to just leave you. We're going to come back and check on you. And they know that we're going to, if there's a problem, you can put a hand up and we can come back and reassure them, okay, yeah, you're doing fine. Just continue and explain a bit more and then move on. That teacher will come, reinforce what is being said, and then move on.
Yeah.
How are things different now for you as a teaching assistant?
It's different now because we're more involved in the planning and we're deployed differently in that we're not focusing on the lower ability children or NTE children. We cover a wide range of children around the classroom and we take turns in working with higher, average and lower ability children during the course of the week. Sometimes during the week, I could work with the higher ability twice a week, maybe the NTEs more than because they need a bit more input. But what happened now with the role between the teacher and the TA, we do a bit of team teaching in that we focus on various children at a specific time, then we will leave them and then we will go back to them and revisit them and make sure that they're doing okay and that we are meeting the needs of not only the high abilities, but also the average and the lower ability children. I'm going to write a word here, and I want you, if you know this word, to give me a smile.
First.
Oh, that wasn't a smile. Good. What was the word, Abra? First. First. Then what else can we use?
Second.
We can use second.
Next.
Next, we can use next, time connective next.
Since the deployment changes in the school, how would you say your job has changed?
We can use the TAs sort of more freely, and we can use the TAs to float around the classroom and mark during the lessons, which frees up time later on for me, certainly. It means that we can use the TAs to help our assessment as well. So I can speak to Margaret during the lessons. I can talk to her about how she's feeling certain children are working. I can discuss with her during the lesson how I feel children are working and move children accordingly if we need to. It's just given us a lot more freedom within the lessons.
Would you say that freedom makes it easier for you to teach?
Yeah, definitely.
When you started to make changes in school, what conclusions did you draw about deployment, and how did you then start to change deployment as a result?
People had perhaps begun to work in a tried and tested way, that then they weren't looking at some of the other opportunities. So we realised we had to share more practice very quickly to begin to really look at the strengths that people had across school in terms of questioning, support and that independence, and looking at then some of the barriers to really great deployment are those things such as the time and being able to get together. So we realised we had to find those ways to communicate really well. When you're at your best, then all of the teaching assistants and teachers agreed that the best deployment is about including children in the classroom, not about replacing the teacher. And that we were there as teaching assistants really to enhance what the teacher was doing. For me, if we believe in these recommendations, which we absolutely did, everybody in the team believed in the recommendations, it was about sticking with it and letting those become our guiding force. And the real rigour around outstanding schools are schools that follow up. And because it then wasn't just the senior leadership team following up, it was peers, teachers themselves, and probably what was very key, it's the everybodyness. This isn't actually about teaching assistants, it's the teachers who were deploying. So it's about keeping going back to it. This really mattered, and I believe everyone in our school now absolutely knows that getting it right with teaching assistants and teachers working together actually really matters and makes a difference. And that's when I think embedded change occurs.
Of course, making major changes to deployment will never be easy. But, as we have seen and heard, it's both possible and hugely beneficial to all involved. With that in mind, how will you communicate the opportunities and benefits to your staff?